The first time
Wait!
Maria
What are you
stepped
doing with the
inside
baby?
DeLuca mansion,
Just a routine check,
she
sir.
thought she
Please
had
follow
walked
me.
into another world. Marble floors so polished they reflected the chandeliers like a second sky, golden-framed portraits lining the walls, and a silence so heavy it felt expensive. Maria had cleaned houses her entire life, but nothing prepared her for the home of Antonio DeLuca, the most feared mafia boss in the city. People whispered his name like a curse and a prayer at the same time. Men crossed the street to avoid eye contact with him. Politicians smiled in public and trembled in private. And now, somehow, Maria, a poor maid who lived in a one-room apartment with peeling paint and a broken heater, was standing in his living room holding a mop. She hadn't applied for the job. The job had found her. Her agency called that morning. Emergency placement, they said. High-profile client. 1 day only. Pay is triple. Maria didn't ask questions. When you owe 3 months of rent and your mother's medical bills are stacking higher than your hope, you don't ask questions. You show up. But nothing about this house felt normal. The staff was nervous. Too nervous. The chef dropped a tray when a black car pulled into the driveway. 2 bodyguards stood near the staircase like statues carved from intimidation. And then she heard it, a baby crying upstairs. A sharp, desperate cry. Maria's heart shifted. She didn't know much about mafia business. She didn't care to know. But she knew that cry. It was the sound of a child who felt alone. Later that afternoon, while dusting the upstairs hallway, she overheard something that made her stop breathing. "We need a babysitter immediately," a woman's voice said, cold, polished, impatient. "How much?" asked another voice. $20,000. For the week. Hazard pay. Maria almost dropped the duster. $20,000? For babysitting? She carefully moved closer. The door was slightly open. Inside stood Isabella DeLuca, Antonio's wife, dressed in silk and diamonds, but with dark circles under her eyes. Across from her stood 2 professional nannies in designer suits. Both shook their heads. "It's not safe," one nanny whispered. "After what happened yesterday." Maria's pulse quickened. "Yesterday? We doubled our rate," the other nanny added. 20,000. Paid up front. Isabella's jaw tightened. Money isn't the issue. But it was. It always was. Maria didn't know what had happened yesterday, but she knew one thing: no one was willing to stay with that baby. And the baby was still crying. That night, as Maria prepared to leave, she passed the nursery door. It was slightly open. The crying had grown weaker now, tired, exhausted. She hesitated. This wasn't her job. But something inside her refused to walk away. She knocked gently. No answer. She stepped inside. The nursery was beautiful: white walls, gold crib, stuffed animals arranged perfectly. Too perfectly. Like a showroom. But inside the crib lay a tiny baby boy, red-faced, tears drying on his cheeks. He couldn't have been more than 6 months old. Maria slowly approached. "It's okay," she whispered softly in Spanish. "I'm here." The baby's crying slowed. She picked him up gently, rocking him the way she used to rock her younger brother before he passed away years ago. The baby clutched her uniform tightly, tiny fingers gripping fabric like it was safety itself. And then, he stopped crying. The silence felt sacred. Maria felt something break inside her chest, not pain, but purpose. She didn't notice Isabella watching from the doorway. "You shouldn't be in here," Isabella said sharply. Maria jumped. "I'm sorry, ma'am." He sounded. Isabella stepped closer. Her eyes studied Maria carefully. "He hasn't stopped crying for 3 days, she admitted quietly. 3 days. Maria looked down at the baby now peacefully resting against her shoulder. He just needed to feel someone, Maria said gently. Isabella's composure cracked for a moment. Just a second. Then the hallway darkened as someone else approached. Antonio De Luca himself. He was taller than Maria expected. Broader. His presence filled the room like thunder before a storm. His eyes were cold, the kind of cold that had seen betrayal and responded with bullets. He looked at Maria. Then at his son. Then back at Maria. "How much?" he asked. Maria blinked. "Sir? How much do you charge?" She swallowed. "I'm just the cleaning staff." "You're holding my son," he replied calmly. "And he's not crying." The air felt dangerous. Maria looked down at the baby. He had fallen asleep. "I don't charge anything," she said quietly. Silence. Antonio's eyes narrowed slightly. "Nothing is free." She met his gaze, not with defiance, but with sincerity. "I know what it's like to grow up without someone holding you," she said. "No child should feel that." The bodyguards shifted. Isabella watched carefully. Antonio stepped closer, so close Maria could see a faint scar near his jaw. "Every nanny demanded $20,000, he said. Upfront." Maria's heart pounded. "I don't want your money," she said softly. "I'll stay tonight. For free." The room froze. No one spoke to Antonio De Luca that way. No one refused his money. For a long moment, he simply stared at her. Then something unexpected happened. He nodded. "Stay." And just like that, the poorest maid in the city became the only person trusted to babysit the Mafia boss's son. But she had no idea what she had just stepped into. Because yesterday, the incident the nannies were afraid of wasn't small. It was an assassination attempt. And the target wasn't Antonio. It was the baby. As night fell over the mansion, Maria sat in the rocking chair holding little Luca De Luca, unaware that outside the gates, enemies were watching. Waiting. And when the first gunshot shattered the silence at 2:17 a.m., everything changed.